Okay, so what we have here is an old wore out 5.3 liter LS. It was given to me by one of my friends. Was thinking about rebuilding it and stroking it, but I think I'm going to go with the 408 whenever I finally build an engine. But what I've got is I ordered, these are from ICT, these are adapters, and then I have polyurethane motor mounts setting on them, bolted up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking this off of the engine stand and putting the bell housing on it and just bolting the transmission up. I'm going to set it down into the frame and make sure that I don't have any clearance issues. Doing some measurements, I already know that the factory pan off that motor won't work, so I'm going to have to get a hot rod pan, because that thing's going to hang down below the cross member, and I don't want anything lower than the cross member. But we're going to get this set down in here, see how it sets, and make sure everything's going to fit okay. And then the next step will be pulling it back out, boxing up all the new stuff, and taking the frame apart and starting to blast it, weld up stuff. I've got a small crack here in the bumper horn. I'll weld that up, and then I've got holes. I'm going to be marking a bunch of the holes that I'm not going to need, and getting all those welded up, and blast it, get it in primer, and get it put back together for the truck show. So that's where we're at. There's the bell housing. I do know that that this engine's missing one of the dowel pins, which I'm not really concerned about. It's got one in there, I'll be fine. I'm not putting the flywheel or the clutch or any of that in there. I'm just going to be bolting the bell housing to the back of the block and putting the transmission down in there. I'm going to need transmission mount. These are pressure plate bolts. I'm not going to need those. Let's see. I am going to be mounting that on there. Flywheel bolts, I don't need those. These are trans to bell housing. I'm going to need those. These are mount to transmission. I'm going to need those. These are transmission to, or mount to cross member. I'm going to need those. These are the shifter bolts. And these are bell housing to block. So I think that's all I'm going to need to do what I'm doing here. So the rest of this stuff, I think I'm going to leave that shift ball out too, just to throw it on there and make it look sexy. So again, if you're concerned or questioning, American Powertrain, that's where all of this stuff came from. In a previous video I did the unboxing. It's got Josh's information in there. If you're looking for a setup like this, give him a call. He'll get you taken care of. And let's get this stuff out of the way. I gotta hang this sign up, because this sign is definitely going up out here in the shop. Thanks, Josh. I really like the sign. So, on the transmission of the bell housing, there is one. These are regular hex, but there's one that's an Allen, and I believe this goes in the top left. I don't know. We'll have to look at the clearance, but we'll get it figured out. One of the great things about getting this kit is there's a combination of both standard and metric hardware here, and Josh made sure that I got exactly what I needed. So I'm not trying to figure out what goes where or any of that. Now I'm going to put all these in the bell housing on with all these bolts, but I'm not going to use the lock washers on them for now. I did run a tap down all of these bolt holes just to make sure that the threads were cleaned up. Okay, so the next thing is going to be the transmission to engine bolts, and I think I am going to lift this up and just get it setting level. Yeah, looking at the way these are, guessing that that one's for there. I don't know, maybe not. No, I'm guessing it's going in the bottom one because I got a lot less room there. Those are both good. Do know that how low this sits, I am going to have to put jack stands underneath the frame and get the frame up to be able to get my engine hoist underneath the front suspension, but that is okay. Alright, so now we are at a point where we can look at moving some of this stuff out of the way. I've got to bring the engine and transmission over, and I'm going to adjust the camera so that it'll be in view, but I've got to pull the frame out. I cleared out the corner where I've been keeping the engine, and I've got it to where the frame will slip up in there, but that'll give me plenty of room to work. So be back in a minute. Got it up on jack stands. Got the bolts out for the towers. Got the bolts out for the cross member. This is what the transmission mount bolts to, and it sets on top here. So I've got that freed up. I've got the bolts out. So now I'm ready to go ahead and lift this up and set her down in there and get these bolts in it. Let's see how this goes. Okay. First problem. So that side's lining up, but the engine's sitting too far to the driver's side. So there were plates that came with these motor mounts that I didn't put in, and that's going to give me probably the little bit of distance that I'm going to need to get these to clear. So let's get this back up and let's fix that. So here's one of the plates to go behind the motor mount. I didn't think I was going to need them, but apparently I do. So we will put this back together with plates in it. Oh wow, it's lining up a lot better already. Imagine that. I am going to measure before I tighten any of these down and make sure that this is centered between the two frames. Then I'll tighten these down because I can shift it a little bit side to side right now. That looks pretty straight right there. But we're going to measure with the tape measure just to see. So that's 7 inches. That's 7 inches. That's it right there. I pulled the hoist off of it. Engine transmission are sitting down in there. I'm fixing to jack it up, get the jack stands out, and set it down on the ground and see how it looks with weight on it. So now the springs actually have weight on them, but that's it sitting on the ground. went ahead and took the heads I had and put them on the engine. So it's sitting down in there. Clearance is great. Love the way it clears everything. Should be good. I'll get some shorty headers that'll come off of it, and I think that'll be good. Eventually the bell housing will get cleaned up and painted same color as the motor. Before I go to the gnats, I'll pressure wash that motor and get it all cleaned up real good and get a coat of paint on it. Oil pan, that factory one won't work. Probably one out of a car. This came out of a 08 GMC pickup truck, I believe, this 5.3. If it was out of a car oil pan would probably be okay, or if I'd like use a Holley oil pan, it'll probably sit okay. Okay, so here's where we're at. Everything fits. Very happy with the way it fits. So now it is time to take it all apart. I've got some final welding to do. Gotta weld this tab up a little bit better, that one. Get that cleaned up. Get this one cleaned up. I've got a lot of holes. All the holes that are marked with the black line, I will be welding up, getting all of these things cleaned up, get this this crack fixed, get all these holes welded up, get it taken all apart, laid out, and then I will start getting it prepped for primer. Before I do that, once I get the frame rails apart, I will make the brake line that runs from the back side of this down through inside that frame boxing panel up to the front, and I'll just have a piece up there. I'm not going to have it terminated or anything because I don't know exactly where all that's going to go. And then on the other side, I will get my fuel line run and get all the holes drilled for the clamps, and run it all the way up to the front. And I'll probably have the last clamp inside the boxing plate right over here. And then if I need to put another clamp somewhere else, I can easily drill it and take care of that. But one of the things that I'm doing, like what I did with the bolts for the frame or for the fuel filter, once I get them done, I'm cutting them and I'm grinding them smooth. And eventually my plan is to do a black oxide treatment on these. So I'm gonna, the clamps, the bolts for the clamps, I'll trim all those down, and then they'll be flush and it'll just be a black dot once it's all assembled. But it'll make it look a little bit cleaner, which is what I'm shooting for. And then down the road, whenever I actually run wiring, there will be some additional holes drilled, and I'll run some more clamps to route the wiring, just to keep it all clean inside the frame rails. But that's where we're at. So I'm about ready to start breaking it all down. I'll get this transmission back out, or the engine transmission back out. I'm going to get the transmission back in the box with the bell housing and everything, all the hardware put back away, and get the engine back on the stand. And then as I have time, I'll be taking the bottom end of the engine apart. Whenever I take it to the gnats, I don't think it's going to have the crank and the pistons in it. Don't need that. I just want the block with the heads and the transmission. So, but that's where we're at.